Video game adaptations. These things have been around since the 1980s with that trash Super Mario Bros. Movie. All the way to the god-awful Ooey Ball adaptations, then they decided to make them right. With a couple of standouts. Devil May Cry, because of its success, had also been adapted outside of video games. Not once, but twice now. The first one was a canon adaptation in 2007, with the second one being the brand new Shankar Netflix show. I'll be going over both of them to find out which did a better job of adapting the franchise. Hello, it's the Devil Joe, back again with a brand new video. And today, I'll be comparing the two DMC animes to find out which one of these shows did the franchise justice. By going over the following categories: action and animation, which show had the better animation; art style, which show looked the best; voice cast, which show had the better voice cast; characterization, which adaptation had the better characters; overall plot, which show had the better storyline. To award the winning anime with the World Weeb Media Championship title. Without further ado, let's jump into this crazy ranking. Starting off by talking about the action sequences, kicking it off with the 2007 anime. At times, the character models animate pretty smoothly, while other times they usually rely on the same couple of frames, since they're trying to animate such detailed character designs on a tight budget. The action scenes took a big hit because of them constraints. Most of the fight scenes are essentially set up to some really interesting scenarios Dante finds himself in, like when he's about to fight a bunch of demonic cops in Devil's Prison with no weapons. Then it cuts to Dante finishing the fight early. Same thing happens for the majority of the anime's runtime. Set up, one attack, rebellion parry, or ebony and ivory shots. Cut to Dante already finishing the fight. Then we come to find the rare occasion of the on-screen fight scene boiling down to a couple of slices and shots. And it's all GG's. The insulting thing is this is adapting an action game franchise known for over-the-top combat. We don't get any of that in this anime. The only time we got a demon transformation, you guessed it, it's off the screen. So yeah, the 2007 Madhouse anime wound up lacking in the action scene department. Most of the budget went into other animes like Hellsing and Claymore. Then we get to the new Netflix anime, The Adventures of Dero the Hedgehog. Right off the bat, the show respects the series when it comes to the action department. Yup, Dante is put into ridiculous and radical situations. And guess what? They're actually pretty damn well executed. I mean, this show actually delivers when it comes to the scenarios. Right down from the random vigilante alleyway save, Mercs raiding Dero's apartment, the highway motorcycle chase, Air Force 2 freefall, Dante fighting off dudes on Legendary Dark Knight difficulty, while moving in and out of the portal of hell. Not to mention the final boss fight. Despite a few gripes I have, with a couple of moments in that fight that I'll get to later on, are very well executed. I mean, you get to see Dante using a lot of them cutscene and gameplay moves, dashing around, dodging attacks, using a couple of iconic tricks from the games, Dero going all out with them rebellion strikes, stealing weapons and using them against the demons. Especially that Agni and Rudra gameplay, shit was good, due to that kinetic animation that allowed for action scenes that kept me on the edge of my seat. It's like they managed to use the simpler art style to its full advantage, reminding me of a slightly lower budget JJK. I mean, we even see Devil Trigger quite a few times. To me, it's a wild bonus despite it being a bit too early in my opinion for Dante to have access to it. But I'll allow it since it's an alternate universe. Then we come to the art style, starting off with the OG Madhouse anime, and by God almighty, the art direction for the show is nothing short of beautifully detailed. I mean, hey, you can't expect anything less from Madhouse now. First off, this has to be the best translation of DMC1 Dante's design. By taking one look at the costume, it's a high-res version of the DMC3 version of the alternate attire. An artistically detailed translation of it, right down to the realistic face and body proportions. Same deal applies to Lady's DMC3 design. Even Trish's DMC1 design is copied and pasted beautifully in the show. I gotta say, some of the NPC demons and background/original characters for the show are drawn to immaculate perfection. It's like they were ripped straight from the art style of the first 4 games. It's too bad the budget wasn't high enough to choreograph some insane action set pieces for these gorgeous character designs. Then we get to Netflix's Lady Mary Ann Arkham Adventures featuring Dante the Hedgehog from the Devil May Cry series, I guess. The animation art style looks like it's ripped straight from Visions of V, the Devil May Cry 5 manga, plus a dash of Castlevania, using simpler lines than the 07 show. The Dante design is a slightly less detailed version of the DMC5 outfit with a longer coat. I have a feeling putting Lady in the dark comp suit made it easier to animate her. Kinda like Jujutsu Kaisen relying on identifiable silhouettes to be easily manipulated and contorted. It looks good and everything, but the problems start to show when we're talking about the sudden 3D character models. Some of them can look pretty damn awkward and out of place. It's happened a lot with Agni and Rudra, Cavalier, Echidna, Dante, and DT, but credit to where credit is due. Rabbit looks like the DMC3 manga version, rocking a smooth silhouette. There are these odd moments in the show where the art looks like it's ripped straight from Marvel vs. Capcom 2. These frames can look pretty stellar. All in all, the art direction feels inconsistent in this season. Sometimes it looks phenomenal, other times it looks awkward as fuck. I hope season 2 gets a tad bit more consistent. Any animated show needs a strong voice cast, and my god did the 07 anime cook when it came to that. Voice cast. Ruben Langdon killed it as this version of Dante. Sure, he might say that this is his worst performance as the character, because the studio was shutting down as he was recording his lines. But rewatching this anime, I quickly found that the conditions of the studio shutting down as he was recording made for the perfect conditions when it comes to this post-DMC1 Dante that went through a lot of PTSD from killing Virgil twice, along with the many times he had to relive the death of a loved one, giving depressed boy Dante a kind of out of the whole demon hunting thing vibe. For him it became a sort of I've been here and done that sort of ordeal. Now leave me alone. You know, that sort of vibe. That's what I'm getting from Ruben's performance in this show. It is brilliantly sold. You feel every bit of disinterest and even pain and sorrow from Ruben's delivery while maintaining the cool factor that made us fall in love with Dante in DMC3. Hell, Lady and Trish sound on point, like what they should sound like. But Carly Wallegren would have been the superior casting choice for Lady, but it is what it is. Then we move on to the DC animated Netflix series Dante the Stampede vs. Batman starring Mary Ann Arkham. When it comes to Johnny Young Bosch's Dante, it didn't sound like Nero for me. He sounded like Vash the Stampede, with a bit of calm swagger. I mean, he was going to be Dante in DMC3 before they ultimately decided on Ruben in that title. It's like getting a taste for what that would have sounded like. In all honesty, it wasn't half bad, but still, I would have preferred Ruben Langdon as Dante. Sadly, he can't do the DMC3 Dante voice at the moment. We have arguably the greatest cast member in the entire show, and that's the late great Kevin Conroy, may he rest in peace. Pulling off by far the best rendition of his Batman voice, having it work phenomenally for VP Baines, constantly reminding you of how stern and cold this senator dude is, who will do anything to eradicate demonkind. Lady's voice actress, I'm not gonna lie, she kinda sounds on the annoying, ridiculously bratty side. Most of her dialogue is just putting folks down 24/7, trying to out-curse DMC reboot Dante, making her sound like an even bigger pain in the ass. On the other hand, the White Rabbit was a pretty damn good surprise, being menacing as hell, yet hiding a pretty grim past that I'm gonna get into pretty soon. Virgil over here sounds a lot like Raziel from the Legacy of Kain games. Addy did manage to reel in a pretty solid voice cast. This category of characterization is arguably by far the most important aspect when we're talking Devil May Cry adaptations. By God, does the OG anime have a Dante depiction that is quite literally how DMC2 Dante should have been handled. The idea of him not giving a shit about anything post the many times he was forced to kill Virgil on top of Ava's death In the same time, he had to relive the same experience twice, coupled with the PTSD DMC1's events left him with, resulting in him not giving a fuck about absolutely anything, closing himself off from any sort of human interaction. Same ordeal as DMC2 Dante. I mean, both of these guys are pretty damn cold. Anime Dante still sticks to the roots of what made the character likable in the first place. Cocky, devil-may-care, wisecracking attitude. The show understands that Dante lives for the fight. Other than pizza, strawberry sundaes, rock and metal music, the fights keep him sane. He enjoys hacking demons to shreds, shooting them up while roasting them. Still making fun of any demon he comes across, even cracking a few offhanded jokes to hide some of that pain of his. Quite accurate to Dante. Hell, it makes sense as to why he is the way he is in the Madhouse anime. On top of the financial debt, adds quite a bit to Dante not giving two shits no more. That carried into DMC5. If a Devil May Cry 2 remake is in the cards, Madhouse Dante is the perfect template to base DMC2 remake Dante off of. The kid Patty Lowell made this Dante a far better character because of the fact that he sees Patty as a younger version of himself, who he wants to keep out of harm's way, making sure the kid doesn't see any of the violence to prevent that same trauma he faced from getting to her. Not to mention the video game accurate portrayal of Lady, a post DMC3 lady, who's actually cool with Dante's antics, finding ways to get Dante to owe her a shit ton of cash. Her chemistry with the wacky woohoo pizza man is that of reluctant partners that can't seem to work with each other on a consistent basis. At the end, they wind up getting the job done. They're pretty cool with each other. I mean, after all, Lady did warm up to Dante quite a bit in DMC3. Then we get to the seductive Trish. This is where they started playing around with the idea of her being a pseudo-female version of Dante, playing around with the demons while fighting them, yet being a quasi-mom partner-like figure, despite not being the maternal type. If anything, some of the anime-only characters, like Patty, are pretty charming, helping flesh Dante out. Sadly, Sid the Hobo is legit the lamest DMC villain around in the 07 anime. Most of the characters are exactly the same as you remember them from the games, even adding in original cast members to the show that are a treat to see interact with the famous wacky woohoo pizza man. On to Netflix's Dante Psycho Easter Bunny Hunt, starring this crazy battlesuit wearing demon killing bitch maiden trying to outcuss Dante from the reboot. I am sorry, it's quite literally most of Lady's dialogue in this show, trying to force her to be as edgy as humanly possible. In the actual games, she was a more than capable badass who can take multiple demons down in a heartbeat, hating devils passionately. Sure, all fine and dandy, acting rather cold in the video game timeline, Devil May Cry 3 in particular. On the contrary, she was a lot more empathetic in that game than she is here in the anime. Why am I saying this shit right here? A, she's too goddamn cold and unrelenting. She literally has Dante's backstory spoon-fed to her, knowing precisely about the idea that half demons exist. Yet she is needlessly cold to Dante right at the start. Despite getting to know him a bit more, she's still needlessly cold to him. Whereas in DMC3, Lady wound up calming down to Dante through a lot of his actions without knowing the goddamn backstory. She only knew that shit at the end of Mission 16. I'll give him this, the origin story was well put together. I like the fact that we got to see Arkham trying to be a fucking demon, albeit it's ripping off a few elements from Batman's origin story, but hey, it is what it is. You know what it took for Lady to finally get that there are kind and compassionate demons in this universe? It's through a couple of Macayan demon refugees and not the half-demon goofball with a goddamn track record of saving folks for money from the demons that you would have been clearly aware of in the briefings before the mission you took. You would have at least tried to give him the benefit of the doubt. Didn't a thought come to mind that sounded like this? Maybe this guy ain't so bad. He might actually have a few solid points to make. But no, she just acts bitchy towards him throughout the whole thing. How was Dante handled in the show? Characterization-wise, I really like the fact that they kept him a wisecracker who hides his internal tragedy from his mom and brother's passing, reminding me of a dumber version of DMC3 Dante. Almost similar to Sonic the Hedgehog in the first movie. Both are completely lost, lacking purpose. Their jokes rarely ever land. Deep down, they are both nerdy goofball gamers, spewing pop culture references. Basically, this Dante ain't exactly the guy we know in DMC3, and I'm okay with that direction. If, in later seasons, he'll develop more into the Dante that we know. I would be fine with this Dante. By season 2, he should at least be the guy we know from the popular prequel game. Personality-wise, that is. I'm still a huge fan of how they kept Dante into a mama's boy, like he is in the games. Let's face it, the wacky woohoo pizza man dude has always been a mama's boy throughout the video games. The only nitpick that I do have is the yo mama joke. Because if you think about it, a guy like Dante wouldn't be making such jokes, with his mom passing and all. Regardless, he still goes out of his way to keep a promise he made to Eva about keeping the amulet safe, risking his life to get it back on multiple occasions. One new change added to his character is his admiration for Sparta after knowing that he was his dad all this time. It's a nice change, that's what I thought at first. But after giving it some thought, I was like, wait, isn't the whole point of Dante's character is to gradually accept the demonic heritage that he hates so much with a passion? But here he accepts it just after finding out that he's Sparta's son. Now that I think about it, it's kind of a weird change. And why the hell isn't he going by the name Tony Redgrave in this show? Since he doesn't get Ebony and Ivory, with this whole thing seeming to take place before DMC3-like events. And trust me, if Nell Goldstein was a prominent character in this show, it would have gave his character a lot more emotional depth. Nell could have been the pseudo-surrogate mother figure. Her death would have hit way harder than Enzo's. You wanna know why? Because you would have made him live through the same PTSD of watching his mom die right in front of him. But hey, at least the sleazy Italian broker made it into the show. I thought he was fun comic relief. We got the White Rabbit as a villain. I thought he was pretty well fleshed out. When it comes to his own motivation to why he's doing what he's doing, all thanks to episode 6, a far more compelling origin story than being a possessed doll like in the DMC3 manga. A human that got along with demons. A refreshing take, despite the events that surrounded him afterwards, like random politics that didn't need to be there. But I digress. Then we got one of the best secondary villains in Devil May Cry, and that is Vice President William Baines, voiced by the late great Kevin Conroy. This dude is menacing, coming in with an imposing and intimidating presence. I mean, maybe Kevin's performance is doing most of the heavy lifting for his character. The Netflix show is kind of a mixed bag. When we're talking about characterization for everything it gets right about the main protag, you get some pretty questionable decisions with him. But I'm not gonna harp on Dante too much, since there is room for him to grow. On the other hand, Lady got absolutely butchered in this one, despite the solid origin story. Yet the main villain is done ridiculously well. Then we come to the final round, and that is the overall plot. In this section, I'll be talking about how it's paced in each show, the basic premise, while giving my 2 cents on what I liked about each story and who it actually works for. Kicking it off with a day in Dante's life, aka the OG 07 anime. This show's entire premise is of this post-DMC1 Dante going through an average Tuesday in his line of work, taking odd devil hunting jobs, at times getting paid next to nothing. With one twist, he's now babysitting this kid for the time being. Reminds me a lot like Cowboy Bebop. Yeah, it's that Demon of the Week setup. Right before the final 3 episodes, making each episode feel pretty self-contained. I mean, you can watch it out of order and get the exact same feeling without needing to worry about chronology, except for the final 3 episodes. And yes, this show is canon. It already assumes that you played Devil May Cry 1 and 3. The anime doesn't tell you anything in particular about Dante's backstory. It already assumes you know who he is. You got no introduction to Sparta or Dante's reason for fighting demons or anything. If anyone hasn't played a Devil May Cry game, they would find themselves checking out on a dime. For DMC fans, it's a pretty nice slice of life filler arc, letting us into Dante's everyday life, taking on normal, everyday jobs in his caliber, where the fate of the world isn't at stake 24/7. Hell, a couple of missions do humanize him. It's a lot more like a great companion piece to the lore. The main villain, Sid, on the other hand, is kinda bland. At the end of the day, I recommend this show to fans of the franchise. If you're new to Devil May Cry, you're not gonna like the show a whole bunch. Moving on to Dante Kurosaki vs. Batman on Netflix, the parallel universe that takes place in the beginning of time. The show has the freedom to take a couple of liberties. Some of these were pretty golden, while others I absolutely fucking hated. The overall plot is the White Rabbit robbing the Force Edge from a museum. That's a dumb place to put it at, Sparta. To then look for Dante and his half of the amulet, so he can open the gates of Makai, the show's name for hell, to allow nice demons to have a safe place to live, while enacting revenge against the US government. Starring a butchered version of Mary Arkham, where Dante so happens to be there. That's the basic plot synopsis of this thing. I am gonna say this, I really like how they wound up explaining a lot of Dante's origins, especially through moments with Ava and Virgil. Not only do I have more footage whenever I decide to talk about Dante's past than any other video, thanks for the extra footage, Addy, I do appreciate it. For some reason, he has no clue as to who Sparta is or why he has any inclination of power, or where the rebellion came from. The fuck, dude? The fantasy sword should be a strong enough indicator that your pop had some weird as fuck shit lying around the mansion. That should be more than enough of a clue of your dad being a damn demon knight, but I digress. At the very least, Ichigo the Hedgehog is still the reckless wisecracker goofball we all know from the games. Yet he isn't. Like I said, he's a lost soul, like Sonic in the first live-action movie. The pop culture references kinda give that vibe for me, alongside the reckless abandonment Dante has in the second half of the show. He has sort of an admiration for Sparta for some reason, accepting his demonic power before getting Ebony and Ivory. At first I thought the change was refreshing, reminding me of the time Dante admired his old man in DMC 1. Here's the thing really, one of the many things that make up Dante's character is self-hatred. He starts off hating the fact he's part demon since his mom got killed by them. Oh, and his demon dad wasn't around to stop any of it from happening, leading to suicidal tendencies, dislike of his own demonic heritage, refusal to tap into his demonic blood that he learns to accept over time. Yes, that is the very reason as to why he refuses to gain power, mainly accepting it out of reluctance in the Devil May Cry video game franchise, realizing that those two halves make him who he is, while he's still fully human. I mean, it's literally in the name of the franchise, Devil May Cry! A demon who's supposed to be evil decides to go against that mold that can feel human emotions of compassion and empathy through shedding tears. That's why Devil Trigger was unlocked when he fought Virgil on top of the Temini Gru through the Rebellion Stab. He refused that dormant power to begin with just to have it forced onto him. Here, after finding out about Sparta being his dad, his DT gets unlocked by pure emotion like Nero in Devil May Cry 5. Speaking of which, did y'all have to be on the nose when referring to this transformation as Devil Trigger? No one in the damn games does that sort of thing. You could have said something like the devil inside you or called it a demon form. Something without being far too on the damn nose. Not to mention y'all gone ahead ridiculously nerfing my boy Dante on way too much of a molecular level. It's borderline maddening. I don't mind him getting thrashed around by demons like Arkham City Penguin, Agni, and Australian Rudra. After all, he's younger than Prime DMC3 Dante. The struggling to fight demons in human form, that I'll happily give a pass. It's his first time going up against more powerful demons. What I completely have an issue with is Dante routinely getting his ass kicked on a consistent basis by fucking Lady. I don't give a fuck how much anti-demon weaponry you want to give to Mary, or have the US government go after Dante. He should not be captured this easily by a little girl who his Devil May Cry 3 version was toying around with Because he was bored inside of a giant ass tower running circles around her. You might as well end up saying, but she was a boss fight in Devil May Cry 3. The same Devil May Cry 3 that you were getting thrashed around by Cerberus, Agni, and Rudra. Virgil, the insides of a whale. Navon, Beowulf, Virgil again. Once you got to Lady, it was like the developers were throwing you a bone. It's like, here you go, have an easy fight. And yes, we are talking about the same Devil May Cry 3 that knows how to use ludonarrative dissonance to its advantage. Meaning that you felt exactly like Dante. In cutscenes, he can skateboard on demons. In gameplay, you too can skateboard on demons. He was probably having a hard-ass time with those other bosses. Whenever he and Lady shared a cutscene, she was nothing but light work to him. That is why that boss fight was exactly that, light work. A break from all them hard and challenging bosses. You might say, well, Joey, in this show she's got anti-demon bullets. Plus tasers and tranquilizers. First off, Dante should have reflexes that can be quick enough to dodge bullets that are fired by a human with limited reflexes no matter the caliber of pistol she's using. Evidenced by the mercenary fight in Diro's apartment. Some of these dudes might as well have had the anti-demon ammunition. Using that fight as evidence, he would have been able to dodge that taser easily. If anything, it should have tickled him. I mean, it shouldn't be as powerful as anything in the demon world. Dodging that humiliation ritual of an ankle shot should be a piece of cake for him. He should be strong enough to tear through them cuffs. He should have been able to smash the van's doors, breaking out with Enzo. Why in the hell did Diro and DT manage to get overpowered by Rudra? To add insult to injury, Lady is the one who gets the final kill, the fuck? At least have the main protagonist get the final win against him. I like the fight scene against Ultra-roided Bunny Man. But why the fuck did Lady steal his one-liner? I literally have no clue who got the final kill. Was it Dante or Lady? I have no clue. Not to mention getting backstabbed by Lady in the most dumbfounded way possible. The fuck is this man? Dante shouldn't get kidnapped easily by any circumstance. To add insult to injury, Dante is put into cryostasis, if anything, after everything you saw. Shouldn't Lady have had the thought of leaving Darkcom behind to stick with the dude in the red duster? Need I remind you, Baines doesn't give a shit about you or your team. Why are you still riding with Joe Biden Wayne? Oh, and do not get me started with the whole demon refugee plotline. It's like they took the concept of kind, compassionate demons from the video game canon just to politicize the fuck out of it, making weaker, lesser demons into refugees. Oh, you want to talk about the ending? Here's this musical number I came up with. Keep in mind I can't use the instrumental, gotta avoid copyright somehow. Didn't want on the nose, America, but especially in a Devil May Cry anime. God damn it, this was as worst as the reboot. Worst thing is that you compared the Middle East to hell. We came here to watch wacky woohoo pizza man adventure. Now you turned it into forced capitalism bad. As a Middle Eastern man myself, I don't feel okay by taking the concept of nice demons in the canon to make a forced statement. Worst of all, you had to cryo-freeze Dante. Then you made Virgil into a Reddit joke, who willingly became Mundus's lackey. As a DMC fan, you should have realized Virgil would rather die than be Mundus's slave. After all, he threw the scabbard. His worst time alive was being Nello Angelo. I mean, he was enslaved alive. Before they were stealing oil. Bet Mundus is having a huge what the fuck moment. This whole Iraq war ending is completely unnecessary. I mean, they could have found other ways of adding in the nice demons just like what the '07 Madhouse show did, but all in all, I can actually see the show appealing to newcomers of the franchise who haven't tried a single Devil May Cry game. On the other hand, those of us who have played the video games will fall into three camps. Those who really like it, absolute haters of the show, plus them folks who are mixed on it. Still, there might be a second season. I just hope Addy listens to the feedback. Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the World Weeb Media Championship title. It's a fucking tie. I'm sorry, both of these shows have a great deal of potential, but there's something holding both of these interpretations back. The canon show from '07 is lacking in the budget and fight scenes department. Believe me, if it had some of that cash, it would have been peak, something to surpass Cowboy Bebop. The Netflix show definitely has some great ideas. On the other hand, it fumbles on some of the new ideas, at times injecting things that don't belong in Devil May Cry, plus a few character assassinations, nerfing Dante to a ridiculous extent against Lady of all people. Political undertones that were fucking unnecessary. I know they have different end goals. One can be watched and enjoyed by complete newcomers, while the other one can only be enjoyed by fans of the games. On the contrary, both as Devil May Cry adaptations are imperfect. They're kinda mid in their own ways. At the end of the day, the novels and games are the best way to experience the series from a lore standpoint as of now. The Netflix show as of now isn't the perfect reboot I thought it was gonna be. To anyone who's a fan of the franchise, looking for more DMC media, I recommend checking out the novels and mangas. Trust me, they're pretty damn cool and such a fun read. With that out of the way, we come to the end of this video. What were your guys' thoughts on it? And which Devil May Cry anime did you like the best? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, be sure to hit the like button and smash that subscribe button real impact style. At 10,000 subscribers, I'll pull off a whole ass Dante combo video in this entire getup. Trust me, we're pretty damn close. Ring the bell icon to get notified on whenever I drop a brand new Devil May Cry or other action game video. This has been the Devil Joe signing out.